Hello everyone, this is Sana Parveen here and welcome to Sana's Biochemistry, our YouTube channel. We're back again with yet another amazing video consisting of next 15 question from 2018 question paper. This is day 8 of our series of a 45 days series. If you are visiting to the channel for the very first time, hit the subscribe button. If you've already visited and subscribed, well and good. If you haven't watched the all the from day 1 to day 7 videos, I'm going to provide the link in the description so that you can go, or also you can visit the channel playlist written as NEET 2020. In that you're going to get all the video tutorials for question papers from the year 2019 as well as of 2018. This is second video of 2018. And people, it's very late at night and I'm shooting, and anytime my mom can come yelling at me. So if you listen to some shouting, okay, it is she shouting at me. Okay, so you don't need to pay attention on that because, and when I am keeping mom, okay, also understand that I'm having a discussion with her. Okay, let us continue with question number one of our 2018 question paper. Question number one says that which one of these animals is not a homeotherm? Okay, which one of these animals is not a homeotherm? Option given to us are Marcopus, Psittacula, Camelus, and Clone. We give you 3 seconds for answering the question, and then we go for question answer discussion about the correct option. And here we go. So the correct answer here is Clone is not a homeotherm. Okay, rest of the three options are homeotherm, and we're going to discuss all the options in detail. Okay, so the first one, that is Marcopus, belongs to marsupials. Okay, people, now what is marsupials? Marsupials are nothing but belonging to the kangaroo. Okay, the kangaroo belongs to marsupials, and that is Marcopus. So here we know that marsupials are nothing but they are hermaphrodite. Oh, I'm so sorry. Homeotherm. Okay, hermaphrodite is like completely different thing. Homeotherm. Next one is Psittacula. Psittacula is belonging to the they're related to parrots. Okay, they're related to parrots, and these are nothing but the parakeets. Parakeets, they're also homeotherm. Next, we have got as Camelus. As everyone can guess, Camelus is related to camel. Related to camel. Camelus, again, they can regulate their body temperature. So, all these three examples are of homeotherm. Now, what is the meaning of homeotherm? Oh, I should have told this before. Okay, now listen to the meaning of homeotherm is the organism that can keep its body temperature at the same level. Okay, they can maintain the body temperature and they don't have any effect if the temperature in the environment or the surrounding temperature is changing, but the body temperature can be maintained at a particular value. So a homeotherm maintains the body temperature so that the metabolic activities of the body can be performed without any influence of the external temperature. So the external temperature has no effect on the body temperature of these animals. So all these animals fall under the category of homeotherm. Okay, now something to discuss about this colone. Okay, there are a hell lot of pronunciation related to this, and it is a plant. It is a plant. It is also called as turtle head plant because of the flower arrangement, something related to like that. So turtle head plants are nothing but called as clone glabra, and it's a natural medicine. Natural medicine. Okay, our answer is the first one, clone. Let us move on to the next question here. Okay, it's based upon roach. Perfect. Which of the following features is used to identify? Which of the following features is used to identify a male cockroach from a female cockroach? Okay, the male and the female cockroach, we need to distinguish. How are you going to distinguish the male cockroach from the female cockroach? Okay, I'm going to read out the options, and the option given to us are presence of a boat shaped sternum on the ninth abdominal segment. Second one is presence of anal cerci, forewings with darker tegmina, presence of caudal style. 3 seconds, and we're going to look for the answer here. Okay, so we have got the answer to be. We're going to discuss some things related to this one because it is kind of important about the cockroaches. Okay, so we're going to discuss because this can be asked in the NEET examination. Fine, as asked in the NEET examination, correct answer is presence of caudal styles. Caudal style is present only in the male cockroach, it is not present in the female cockroach. Okay, now we're going to look at some diagram kind of a thing, and then we're going to understand about this one. Okay, now when you have to distinguish between a male cockroach and a female cockroach, they both look kind of different. Okay, so I'm just going to try drawing the cockroach that is male and the female. Okay, so the male kind of looks like this with the antennae and with the appendages. Okay, if we look at the female one, okay, if we look at the female one, it looks like something like this. Okay, now what does that mean? That means that the abdomen of the male cockroach is slender. Okay, see, the abdomen here is slender. The abdomen of the female is blunt. Okay, what is the word blunt? Here it is slender, and the abdomen of the female is blunt. Okay, when you look at the caudal styles or anal style, it is in the female, there is presence of, in the males there is presence of the caudal style. Okay, and here it is. Okay, in the female the caudal style is not present. Now, what is the function of this caudal style or anal style? It's a male copulatory structure which helps in the mating process. Okay, this one is the copulatory structure. Okay, and it is used in mating. So when the male cockroach has to mate with the female cockroach, at that time these structures are involved into holding the female cockroach, and then the mating is possible. Okay, so these blue color structures are called as caudal caudal okay styles. Okay, caudal styles, that is the copulatory organ present in the males which is absent in the female. It's a copulatory organ used in mating. Okay, yes, so the answer here is going to be presence of caudal styles because we need to distinguish between the male and the female cockroach. Okay, next question, which of the following organisms are known as the chief producers in the oceans? Okay, I'm going to repeat the question. Which of the following organisms are known as chief producers in the oceans? Option given to us are dinoflagellates, euglenoids, cyanobacteria, and diatoms. Answer to this question is going to come out as I give you 3 seconds. By that time, I'm gonna sip some water. Mm-hmm. Okay. Answer is diatoms. Diatom is the correct answer, and they're the primary producers in the oceans. Chief producers in the ocean. Okay, now why are diatoms chief producers of the ocean? Because they can grow really fast. You provide them nutrients, and they are going to grow very fast. Okay, once the nutrients are available, they're capable of growing very fast, and they can fix a lot of carbon dioxide. Okay, so they can take up the carbon dioxide and they can produce a lot of biomass. Carbon dioxide they're using biomass production, and biomass production, that means they're blooming diatoms. Okay, there's one more important thing, that when there is production of a lot of biomass, these diatoms become heavy and they sink into the deep ocean surface. Okay, they're becoming heavy. Once the biomass is increased, they're becoming heavy and they're sinking into the ocean surface deep inside. Okay, ocean, deep inside the ocean towards the darkness, because when you go down deep in the ocean, it's dark there and there is no light present. The light is not present there, because of which what happens is the organic matter which is made into the body of the diatoms are not broken down. Okay, light is not there, the organic molecules or the organic matter is not broken down. Okay, and then as it is not broken down, carbon dioxide is not produced, which leads to a net, accumulation of carbon, or which is also called as, what do I say, sequestration of carbon. Okay, the carbon is getting inside, the carbon is not going outside rapidly because of the dark layers, because of the organic matter which makes up the body, and then it goes down and it is not returned back. Okay, it is going down and the sequestration of carbon happens, net sequestration of carbon happens. Okay, so diatoms, let us talk about other options also. Dinoflagellates, when I talk about it, it is again, it is a producer, but the chief producers are diatoms. Okay, if I talk more about diatoms here, then after that I'm going to talk about dinoflagellates. In that, what happens, it also serves as sewage pollution indicator, how much sewage is present. So I'm talking about diatoms still. They are indicator of sewage population. I'm What the hell am I talking? Sewage pollution. Okay, and these diatoms can be present in marine water, fresh water, or also in terrestrial habitats. Okay, next thing, when we move on to, let us just discuss about cyanobacteria here. Cyanobacteria is a photosynthetic bacteria. Photosynthetic bacteria, because it has got the green pigment inside it. Cyanobacteria, photosynthetic bacteria. Okay, diatoms, they're nothing but single celled algae producers, right? Single celled algae. Next one is your euglenoids. Euglenoids are unicellular flagellate flagellate protists. Okay, euglenoids are unicellular flagellate protists, and the last one, dinoflagellates, are nothing but single celled eukaryotes. Single cell eukaryotes. The dinoflagellates are also somewhere or the other involved into production, and they're mostly marine, sometimes also found in fresh water, but mostly marine plankton. Okay, so this was the answer here. Let me repeat it again. Answer is Diatoms is the correct answer. They're the chief producers in the ocean because once the nutrients are available, they produce a lot of biomass. Okay. Next question is ciliates differ from ciliates differ from other protozoans in options are in using flagella for locomotion. Second one, having two types of nuclei. Third one, using pseudopodia for capturing prey. And the fourth one is having a contractile vacuole for removing excess water. Okay, try to answer and then I'm going to tell you the answer. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Answer here is people, they have two types of nuclei. Ciliates differ from other protozoa in having two types of nuclei. Okay, now let us just discuss about this one. And I am going to talk about ciliates here. Ciliates. Okay, ciliates. And when you have these ciliates, example is paramecium. Paramecium. Okay, paramecium is also called as slipper organism. Slipper organism because it looks like a slipper. I'm just trying to draw the structure, and I know that I'm very good at drawing because I'm going to draw a labeled diagram in which we have got a central, not central, but a big nucleus called as macronucleus. Macronucleus, and a tiny one, tiny, is definitely called as micronucleus. Micronucleus. Okay, and there are additional organelles also present into it, which is called as contractile vacuole. Okay, I'm just going to label it, erase the unnecessary part. Okay, so this one is called as contractile vacuole. Contractile vacuole. Okay, and we have got additional stuff into it, buccal cavity, then we have got cytopharynx, but the important thing which we missed out is the presence of cilia. Silicates you're talking about, right people? So cilia is present here. Silicate cilia, example is paramecium. And as there are two different types of nucleus present in them, what is the function? Why are there two types of nucleus present? And the function of macronucleus. Macronucleus function is they contains genes that are used to regulate cell functions. So it has got genes for regulating cell function. Okay, now the other one, micronucleus, is for it contains genes that are involved in sexual reproduction. Okay, so it has got genes for sexual reproduction. Okay, macronucleus is consisting of genes for cell function, and micronucleus has got genes for sexual reproduction. Okay, fine. So this is one example of silicates, paramecium, because we are kind of, we know paramecium, and it becomes easy if you know consider paramecium for understanding silicates. Okay, let us just move on with the next question. So answer here is ciliates differ from other protozoans in having two types of nuclei. Next question people. Yep. Identify the vertebrate group of animals characterized by crop and gizzard in its digestive system. Identify the vertebrate group of animals characterized by crop and gizzard in the digestive system. Option given to us are amphibia. Then we have got biology has got words that are difficult to pronounce. Osteichthyes. Okay, osteichthyes. But aves, and we've got reptilia. People freak out, students freak out because pronunciation is difficult, and there are a hell lot of complex words involved in biology, because of which people freak out, and after 10 they just drop biology. But I have got my personal opinion about it. I've given you time, people, for answering. Don't listen to my stuff. Answer here is, identify the vertebrate group of animals characterized by crop and gizzard in its digestive system. Option here is aves. Okay, chidia birds. Aves have got a digestive system in which it consists of what? Crop and gizzard, and there's the third chamber which is called as cloaca. Okay, that is a third chamber, additional chamber. What is the function of crop and gizzard in aves? It is the crop part of it is involved into storage of grains. It's like a go down, storage of food grains, okay. And the gizzard one is involved in it's a masticatory organ. Okay, masticate is to crush the food grains. Okay, crush the food grains. Okay, so these are the two present in aves, the birds, and we have got thighs. Okay, because you people are aware of amphibia and reptilia, so I'm not going to discuss about that. I'm going to talk about thighs. They're also called as the chondric thighs and thighs. Thighs are bony fishes. Okay, bony fishes. I was kind of good with zoology. So thighs, I had good zoology teachers. So bone fishes composed of bone tissue, and it is not going to have cartilage. Cartilage is another group which we will be discussing if the question pops up. Next question. The the amnion of the amnion of mammalian embryo is derived from. Okay, and this time I'm not going to read out the option for you people. You people are grown enough to read the option for yourself, so I'm not going to read out. I just leave it on you. This time I'm going to read it for the next question because I'm kind of tired. I'm just going to tell you the answer. Answer to this question is ectoderm and mesoderm. Ectoderm and mesoderm are the correct answers to this one. Okay. Amnion. Now you need to understand what is amniotic sac and what is the question asking. Majority of the students will not even understand what the question is asking. Amnion hota kya hai? They'll freak out. Okay, so I am going to draw a beautiful diagram by which we're going to understand that what is the meaning of amnion. It's a super beautiful topic. Okay, let us just draw the structure. For that, I'm gonna need different colors, and this is say placenta, and the lady is pregnant out here. Pregnant. Okay, so placenta, and then we have the umbilical cord. The umbilical cord, we know that is attached to the baby inside. So I'm going to draw the baby, kind of looks like an alien when it's very small. So this is the baby, the growing embryo. So I'm going to write here embryo, E for embryo. This embryo is present in a sac-like structure. Okay, it's present in a sac-like structure. So I'm going to draw the sac-like structure now. So this one is the sac-like structure. Okay, this entire thing is called as amniotic sac. Amniotic sac. Okay, now there's a fluid in which the baby is kind of swimming inside. There's a fluid inside the amniotic sac in which the baby is kind of floating, and this liquid is people called as the amniotic fluid. Amniotic fluid. Okay, so when the baby is kind of fully developed to come out of the mother's body, this water breaks. Okay, then we said like the water broke, and then the water comes out of the mother's body. So that is the amniotic fluid. Okay. Yeah. What is amnion here? Amnion is the inner layer. This is the amnion. 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 Okay, amnion. And then we've got one more layer here, outside one is called as chorion. Amnion and chorion. Okay, so this is the entire concept of the development. Okay, so amnion is formed from mesoderm on the outer side and ectoderm on the inner side. Okay, so this was the question asked. This was the question asked. So where is the amnion coming from? It is from the mesoderm and the ectoderm. Okay, so that is the correct answer. Okay, so here we're gonna go back to the question so that we get a clear understanding about it. The amnion of mammalian embryo is derived from where? Is derived from ectoderm and mesoderm. Okay, let us move on to the next question, people. I think a lot of questions on pregnant ladies in this, I guess. Okay, human physiology, people, is kind of important, very important. Okay, chalo, we're gonna discuss this question now. Perfect. I am wondering why did my mom not yet turn up? Okay, I think she's sleeping. She's not heard me yet. Okay. Hormones secreted by the placenta to maintain pregnancy are hormones secreted by the placenta. So the placenta that I've drawn, that I drew initially, was the one that in the red color. Okay, looks like I don't know what. So the hormones secreted by the placenta to maintain pregnancy are okay. The placenta is a disc-like structure, people. Disc-like structure. Okay, and then initially people used to call that to be a twin of the baby, and they used to take that placenta and bury it into the soil, thinking that all the evil is going to go with the placenta and the baby is going to be protected. Okay, initially in the ancient time people used to think that kind of a that they were having a concept like that. hcg hcg, what is the thing? Hormones secreted by the placenta to maintain pregnancy are HCG, HBL, estrogen, prolactin, HCG, progest, progestogens, estrogens, glucocorticoids, HCG, HPL, progesterones, progestogens, estrogens, HCG, HPL, estrogens, relaxin, oxytocin. Okay, so the correct answer here is to this question. Hormones secreted by the placenta to maintain pregnancy are HCG, HPL, progestogens, and no, that is not the correct answer. This one is the correct answer. HCG, HPL, progestogens, and estrogens. Okay, I am so sorry. I made a mistake. Okay, I accept it. HCG, HPL, progestogens, and estrogen is the correct answer to this question. These are the hormones secreted by the placenta to maintain pregnancy. Now we are going to discuss all the four hormones in detail because human physiology is important related to from the need point of view. Okay, the first one, the first hormone, let me just see whether I've got space to write. Perfect. So we have the first one as the hormone called as HCG. This hormone, people, is a protein hormone. Okay, it's a protein hormone. Okay, it's a protein hormone, and then it plays a very important role in maintaining. So when a lady is pregnant, so this girl, imagine this lady is kind of pregnant, and she has now got a large amount of HCG during her early pregnancy. Okay, so early pregnancy HCG level shoots up. Okay, now this hormone has an effect. It has a primary role to keep corpus luteum functioning. Okay, so in the female's body there is a structure called as corpus luteum. Okay, this corpus luteum has got a function to produce certain hormones. Okay, so the HCG has got a role to keep corpus luteum functioning. So this HCG hormone, which I'm going to draw in green color, this HCG hormone is going to come here and is going to give the signal that you need to keep functioning, don't die, keep functioning. Okay, so when HCG comes, corpus luteum kind of says that, oh, my life is saved by HCG, it keeps it functioning. Okay, it will not let corpus luteum die. Now, why is HCG being so friendly with corpus luteum? Because they all need to work together to maintain the pregnancy, and then the corpus luteum in turn produces two hormones which are nothing but the progesterone and estrogen. Progesterone and estrogen. Okay, so this is the one HCG. Next one we're going to discuss is HPL, human placental lactogen. Human placental lactogen. Okay, I'm going to erase this one. Human placental lactogen. Now, what is the function of human placental lactogen? That is HPL. It is a hormone definitely produced by placenta. Okay, now this placenta actually acts like a endocrine gland during pregnancy. Okay, people, during pregnancy. Now what this hormones does is, in the mother's body, consider she's pregnant and she's got fat in her body. Okay, this one HPL is going to come here and is going to break the fat into glucose. It is going to break the fat and produces glucose, because of which the glucose level shoots up. Okay, now why do we need to shoot up the glucose level? It is because it's a fuel for the growing baby in the mother's body. Okay, there's a baby growing inside the mother's body, so this baby needs food, because of which the glucose needs to be the glucose need to be high in the mother's body. And this hormone can also lead to insulin resistance, because the glucose is there, high level glucose, more insulin is going to be produced, so the insulin is also taken care by HPL, and it leads to insulin resistance also, and also carbohydrate intolerance in the mother. Okay, and because of this hormone, the pregnant ladies also suffer from gestational diabetes. Gestational diabetes means what? Gestation is the 9 month span. Okay, when the lady is pregnant, so that is called as gestational period. So gestational diabetes means what, people? It is diabetes happening to the women when they're pregnant. Okay, that is called as gestational diabetes, which has a link to HPL hormone. Okay, and this HPL hormone is also called as human chorionic somatomamotrophin. Okay, so we're going to write in short, which is also called as HCS. Okay, human chorionic somatomamotrophin. Okay, next one we need to discuss about progesterone, and I think you people already have an idea about it. Progesterone. Okay, I am fearing that my mom is going to turn up anytime. Progesterone. Okay, now what happens here is we have got the uterus. Yes, definitely we got the uterus. Females uterus, and when the pregnancy has to happen, the uterus thickens up. Okay, the uterus is going to make itself kind of like a cushion like structure, because the embryo, which is very much very delicate, will come and get implanted here. The tiny embryo, the zygote, is going to get implanted here, so it needs a cushioning surface. It needs a cushion like a uterus. Okay, because it is very when you got a baby, you provide very soft clothes to it. Okay, so here the progesterone prepares the uterus for pregnancy, and progesterone causes the uterine lining or the endometrium to thicken up. Okay, it is causing the thickening of the uterus. Okay, the thickening of the uterus. Now what happens is, when there is no fertilization happening, okay, when there is no sperm in the body, the female, there's only the egg here, the cushioning is no more required, and the cushioning goes out. Okay, the layer breaks, all these layer breaks, and this goes out of the body of the female every month, which is nothing but the menstruation. Okay, the menstrual cycle. Okay, the last one, estrogen. So progesterone function is to maintain the lining, the thick line of the uterus, and the last one is estrogen. And this estrogen causes the uterus and the placenta to improve vascularization. Okay, it makes, or it leads to formation of blood vessels. Blood vessels. Okay, fine. So let us just move on to the next question. Question number 8. I'm going to read it out. The contraceptive Saheli. The contraceptive Saheli blocks estrogen receptors in the uterus, preventing egg from getting implanted. Second one is a post-coital contraceptive. Third one is an IUD. And the fourth one, people, is increases the concentration of estrogen and prevents ovulation in females. We need to look for the answer. I'm going to give you 3 seconds. Let me see how many. I cannot see actually. We're not live. I'm so sorry. Yeah, just analyze yourself and I'm going to tell you the answer. Okay. Yeah, we have the answer to be here. It blocks the estrogen receptor. Saheli, the contraceptive, blocks the estrogen receptor in the uterus, preventing egg from getting implanted. Okay. Now what happens is, for example, this is a cell in the uterus, and this cell has got a receptor. Okay, like we've got a dish TV, because of which the signal comes and then you're able to see anything on the television. This is the cell and this is the receptor for estrogen. Okay, that means ideally what should happen when estrogen is going to come? This is estrogen. When estrogen comes and binds here, then all the pregnancy related stuff will happen. Okay, and we just saw the previous question. Now what happens is, this Saheli, this contraceptive, comes and sits here. Okay, comes and sits here. Who? The Saheli, contraceptive. Now what happens? There is no contact of the receptor with the estrogen, and then it is the hormone receptor complex is not formed, because of which there will definitely be some kind of hindrance in the pregnancy to take place. Okay, so this contraceptive is a non-steroidal. It's a non-steroidal oral contraceptive. Okay, that means it is not having any steroids in it. It is taken once per week. It's taken once per week, and it is also named as Chaya. Okay, sometimes Saheli is also called as Chaya. The contraceptive I'm talking about, that. It is also called as ormeloxifene. Okay, I'm going to write here so that you people note it down. Ormeloxifene. or meloxyphene. Okay, that was the chemical name of it, and it was later on named and it's used from 1990s, early 1990s. So kind of uh, used. It's been years now that people are using it, and it's post coital contraceptive. What is the meaning of post? It Saheli is not post. What I'm saying, Saheli is not post coital contraceptive. It's going to block the estrogen receptor in the uterus, preventing it from getting implanted. Now I'm going to tell you what is the meaning of post coital contraceptive. IUDs, everyone knows, it is intrauterine devices which are put in the uterus, which is put, yes, exactly, put in the uterus, and then the pregnancy is prevented. IUDs, intrauterine devices. Copper T increases the concentration of estrogen. No, because you just said it, Sahel is non-steroid dual contraceptive. Okay, post-coital contraceptive, or is also called as emergency contraceptive. Okay, that means after emergency contraceptive is once you need to prevent pregnancy after you had an unprotected or you know um, unprotected sexual intercourse, or the contraceptive that you used was, you thought, not, you know what do I say, okay, forget it. Post-coital contraceptive is once you had the sexual intercourse and then you feel like going for contraception, and then you take an emergency contraception. That means post-coital, after unprotected sexual intercourse. Okay. Now we move on to the next one. That Saheli is not one of those. Saheli is not post-coital contraceptive. Okay. We're going to move on further. Next thing, the difference between, we need to see the difference between spermiogenesis and spermiation is what. I'm going to read out the options for you people. In spermiogenesis, spermatids are formed, while in spermiation, spermatozoa are formed. Next one is, in spermiogenesis, spermatozoa are formed, while in spermiation, spermatozoa are released from Sertoli cells into the cavity of seminiferous tubules. Next one, in spermiogenesis, spermatozoa from Sertoli cells are released into the cavity of the seminiferous tubules, while in spermiation, spermatozoa are formed. And the last one, people out here, is, in spermiogenesis, spermatozoa are formed, while in spermiation, spermatids are formed. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the answer for fataфат, because the video is now getting, kind of lengthy. Answer to this question is option number B. Option number B. I gave you a hint, red color. In spermiogenesis, spermatozoa are formed. Okay, in spermiogenesis, spermatozoa are formed from spermatids, while in spermiation, spermatozoa are released from the Sertoli cells. They're released from the Sertoli cells into the cavity of the seminiferous tubules. Okay, Sertoli cells and everything, we will have a detailed description, another video. Okay, maybe if we get a chance. Okay, next question here comes out to be on population of a country. Population of a country. We have the question to be, people, in a growing population of a country, pre-productive individuals are more than the reproductive. Pre-reproductive individuals are more than the reproductive individuals. Pre-reproductive individuals are less than the reproductive individuals. Reproductive and pre-reproductive individuals are equal in number. And the last one here is, reproductive individuals are less than the post-reproductive individuals. Okay. So the answer here comes out to be, to my surprise, to your surprise, answer is option number 1 is the correct answer. Pre-reproductive individuals are more than the reproductive individuals. We are going to see a diagrammatic representation related to this, and then you need to answer the question. See here, people, we have got, for expanding population, expanding means increase in the population, we have got the graph as this one. Okay, the graph is this one, in which we have got at the bottom At the bottom we have got pre. Okay, at the bottom we have got pre. In the middle we have got reproductive, and on the top we have got post reproductive. Initially pre-reproductive, in the middle reproductive, and then post-reproductive. So this is for expanding. That means pre is more than reproductive. Okay, that is why our answer. Next one, if we see, we have got here to be stable. Stable here is what? It is, you know, these two are kind of similar. Pre and reproductive are kind of similar. Okay, little bit of difference in it. And then the above, the post one is very less. The post one is very less. Okay, so this is for stable. And the last one is for declining declining population. Okay, in that we go for the representation comes out to be like this. Okay, tapering at both the ends. Okay, so this is declining. So depending upon the structures, we need to answer the question. So expanding was asked, so this is the one. Pre is more than reproductive, so that is the reason why the answer is pre-reproductive individuals are more than the reproductive individuals. Answer is option number 1. Next question. Perfect. Question number 11, we have got to be match the items given in column number 1 with those in column number 2 given in the figure and select the correct option given below. Okay, and we're going to read out now. Eutrophication, sanitary landfill, snow blindness, zoom cultivation, UV radiation, deforestation, nutrient enrichment, and waste disposal. We need to manage out here. Eutrophication is nutrient enrichment. Okay, now what happens in eutrophication? It is also called as dystrophication, or it is also called as hypertrophication. Okay, now in this what happens is, in a water body, okay, every time I select in a water body, we have got excessive nutrients present in the water body, because of which there is growth of plants all over the water body. Okay, excessive nutrients, when it is present in the water bodies, it leads to excessive growth of algae, and this is called as eutrophication. Okay, and it has got and it is going to it has got some side effects also, some bad effects also. It leads to oxygen depletion in the water body because a lot of activity going on. So this is called as eutrophication. Then sanitary landfill, that means everyone knows the meaning of it. I'm not going to explain this one. Sanitary landfill is waste disposal. It's a way of disposing the waste here. Okay, next is snow blindness. Snow blindness we need to discuss, which is also called as arc eye. Arc eye. Okay, arc eye, arc eye. In this what happens is, it's a painful eye condition in which there is overexposure of, this is the eye, and it has got what? Overexposure of what? UV radiations. Okay, so snow blindness, and it leads to it is mostly affects the corona, the cornea. Okay, we are in the pandemic, that is the reason why everything that I speak is like corona. Cornea, and cornea undergoes a sunburn. Okay, and this snow blindness symptom can be disorienting. Okay, then we have got the link to this one is going to be snow blindness का क्या होगा? UV radiation. The last one, zoom cultivation, is deforestation. Zoom cultivation, nothing but people. What we do is, it is also called as slash and burn cultivation. So in this what happens is, it is a process of growing plants, but first clear the land. Okay, first you clear the land, that is the trees and vegetations are burnt in that area. Okay, first of all, you need to grow crops. Okay, for which you need to have an area. You have to have the area. Trees and plantation are going to be there in that area. You're going to burn them all. Okay, and once the burning has taken place, the burnt soil contains potash. Okay, and this potash increases the nutrient content of the soil. So when you match and see, answer comes out to be, क्या हो जाएगा आंसर? Answer comes out to be option number C. Okay, option number C. Yes, correct. Next question is question number 12. Which part of the poppy plant is used to obtain the drug called as smack? Flowers, leaves, root, and latex. Answer to this question is latex. Okay. What is latex? Latex is a milky production or a milky fluid found in many plants. Okay, such as poppy plant. And it comes out when the plant is cut. Okay, or when it is exposed to air. So this is called as latex. Latex is mostly seen in the rubber tree, and it is the chief source of natural rubber. Okay, now let us talk something about smack. What is smack? It is first of all obtained from poppy plant, and it is also called as brown sugar. Brown sugar heroin. Okay, called as, or it is also called as black tar heroin. Okay, extracted from the latex of the poppy plant. And there are some of the effects that is the person is going to go through if the person is using smack drug, which is nothing but serious disorientation, hallucinations, paranoia, worry, and extremely risky behavior, suicidal behavior, and avoidance of family and friends. Okay, so that is the answer. Latex is the correct answer, from which the smack drug is obtained from the poppy plant. Latex. Okay. Next question is, I'm gonna read it out fast. Match the items given in column number 1 with that of column number 2. Column number 1 with that of column number 2. And what is this question number 15? 12, 15. Oh, people, I'm so sorry. I just missed out on some questions here. Question 15, 12, 15. People, I'm extremely sorry. I missed out some question here while making the presentation. And I'm going to include the remaining two questions. 12 question we've seen, 15 question. Remaining two question I'm going to include in the next video of ours. I'm so sorry. I just missed it out. Okay, no problem. So we have got this one. You people will say in every video of her there is some or the other mistake. But come on, I'm trying. I'm a human, I can make mistakes. Okay, yeah, no problem. So we have got here the question to be match the given items in column number 1 with those of column number 2 given in the figure and select the correct option, in which we have got the first one to be glycosuria, gout, renal calculi, glomerular nephritis. Okay, on the other side, we have got accumulation of uric acid in joints, mass of crystallized salt within the kidney, inflammation in glomerula, presence of glucose in urine. We need to match. And when we match, glycosuria is presence of glucose in urine in diabetic people, excessive presence of sugar in the urine, which is typically related to diabetes or disease of the kidney. Okay, next one is gout is because of the defective metabolism of uric acid. Okay, the uric acid is not getting metabolized properly. It is the metabolism is defective, because of which the uric acid gets accumulated because it is not getting metabolized, because of which the accumulation is there. Okay, and it causes arthritis. Okay, and so gout is accumulation of uric acid in joints. Next is renal calculi. Okay, calculi or calculus, whatever you want to pronounce it. So renal calculus is the singular form and calculi is the plural form of it. Okay. And renal is every time related to people kidney. Renal kidney. Okay. So this one, renal calculi, is related to mass of crystallized. Okay, we've got renal calculi, mass of crystallized salt within the kidney, which is nothing but the kidney stones. Kidney stones. And the last one, glomerular nephritis, which is also called as glomerulonephritis. It is inflammation of the kidney. Okay, inflammation of the glomeruli. So when you look and match the correct option, it is going to be, people, answer here comes out to be option number B. Okay, you need to match again and see. And for those who want the presentation, I'm going to include the next two questions into the next video of ours. And if you want the PPT, you need to visit my YouTube ka Telegram channel, which is Sana's Biochemistry Telegram. I keep on uploading, I keep on sending the presentations in my Telegram channel, Sana's Biochemistry, the same name as our YouTube channel. If you have liked the content, you need to hit the like button. Okay, subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. Share it with your friends, and thank you for watching the video. Thank you for those who have made up till the video. And to my surprise, my mom did not turn up yet. She is sleeping, and good for me and good for you people also. Okay, so thank you everyone for watching. I'm kind of sleepy. I'm just going to go hit my bed without even turning off my laptop and my devices. Okay, I'm exhausted. I'm going to sleep now, and then visit the Telegram channel. If you have any doubt, you can also write to me on my email, which is there in the about section of my YouTube channel. And all the videos are related. I'm going to provide you the link in the description, and all the videos are also available on the playlist on my channel named NEET 2020. Okay, thank you everyone. Take care. See you tomorrow in the next video with again an amazing video. Tomorrow we're going to come back again. By the time, stay safe, stay at your homes, and take care of yourselves. Bye bye, everyone, and keep showering your love. Bye bye.